Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video on the new Spirit Channeler class. So I've been doing a lot of testing and I will just give you my impressions on the class. I still haven't really found a definitive build for it, but yeah, I've tested both classes, both the Beastmaster and also the Supreme Spirit, the Necromaster. And from what I've worked out so far, basically it's really hard to try and get the Beastmaster to work because it is heavily reliant on the amount of damage that our powers do. So if we want to be able to do more damage, then we will have to try and level up these red and pink powers to a high as level as possible. And for right now, most of mine are around level 10 for the reds, so they just don't do that much damage. They only have like a 5 to 6 multiplier. And if you look on the orange powers, you can see that they pretty much have the same amount, and then the yellow ones have a lot more since they are higher leveled, and then the purple ones are even higher since they are max leveled. So they have a 9.4 damage multiplier here. So this is just basically like an ultra late game class, and I would not suggest changing your class to the Beastmaster, basically because we just don't have enough resources to try and make the most out of the class, because most of our power levels will not be high enough. So then my testing swapped towards the Necromaster, the Supreme Spirit, since it's kind of a bit more reliant on the character itself as a whole. You can get away with not having such high power levels. So I've also tested doing a damage build on this Necromaster, but I found that it just doesn't really work that well. And so the build that I'm currently at is basically like a tank build, similar in a way to the tank mages that existed before this update. And you know, it actually works alright, but it's not the best still. And my opinion is that it would be easier for your resources to try and stick to the three main classes of Archer, Warrior, and Mage. This is just a bit too hard to build right now. But let me at least show you what I'm running, what I'm working with, and what my current best build is, and see if any of you guys have any opinions or findings that might be even better than what I'm working with right now. So to start off with, let's talk about gear. I've been trying to go for power crit and power combo for everything, but I've come to the realization that this is technically not needed for this tank build. What you want is basically power combo and regen. And let's see if we have a power combo regen. Okay, we actually don't, that doesn't matter. But why do we want power combo and regen? Well, the tank build really revolves around healing as much as we can and outlasting our opponent. And one of the skills here, one of the effects is it really helps in just sustaining our overall HP. So it's this quadra-terrain where power attacks and combos have a 30% chance of restoring character for 0.2% of their max HP. So that means every time you combo, you have a 30% chance to restore some HP. So that's really nice to know, because then technically we don't need crit at all for this tank build, and we only focus on power combo. So mine is at 53%, not high at all. So that's after I've been trying to get only power crit and power combo. I've come to the realization that, you know, I kind of don't even need power crit, I just need power combo plus regen. So my gears is kind of a bit sus right now, so bear that in mind. But you know, for the purposes of testing, it still works alright. Let's keep going, let's keep moving on. Let's talk about our skills. For skills, there are two skills that are really important towards building a tank sustained build, and that is Wild Gust and Blade Pierce. Why is that? Because in the Relics we have this Crimson Sickle necklace, and every time we use those two skills we restore 2.5% of our max HP, and that's really important in just lasting this entire fight and trying to survive as long as we can. So these two skills I would say are non-negotiable. Then the next skill would obviously be Blitz Assault for the damage immunity. And then the final two skills, they are a little bit interchangeable. So what I've kind of worked out is if you are fighting against a warrior, this is nice to have, easy breezy with your smoke bomb combo. If you're fighting against an archer, I would definitely use disarm instead. And what would I replace? Most likely smoke bomb. And I would probably use take it slow here instead, because the attack speed reduction will reduce the overall damage more against an archer than just reducing their straight up attack with easy breezy. So it would look something like that. Some other possibilities against a warrior could also be, instead of using smoke bomb, you can use 100 slashes here. So we really are just trying to survive as much as we can. We can use 100 slashes because we get basic attack damage res and we get extra attack bonus, but this isn't as good, I would say. I would still prefer smoke bomb. Just through my testing, this has worked out the best. Let's talk now about our pals. So first of all, with the Necro class, the order of the first two pals is actually quite important. If we look here on this passive skill, we gain extra effects based on the first two pals races. So the best one that we must have is Wild Call. That's when we gain 15% global HP. So as long as you have either the Hydrospite, Panda, Deer, or Turtle, or Fox in one of the first two slots, you'll be fine. And then for my second slot, I put in Lizard. Why do I want that extra 10% attack speed? Pretty simple, I just want the higher chance to try and heal from my power attack and combos. So that's basically it. You could also try and run some other effects, but I haven't had much success with that yet. I do have a slightly alternate build, but I will cover that later, and that's using this Anima Abound, but I'll talk about that in maybe 10 or 20 minutes. So apart from that, yes, we are running Hydrospite and the Lizard, and for this passive, as you can see, we have 3 skill effects active because of our 6 power lineup, and basically we need 2 powers or more in each category to try and activate it. So the best way to get 3 is just to have 2 different powers in each category. So what I went for is deer and turtle is a must, especially in these long sustained fights. So that works really well. Then we have the panda for that extra HP regen, which is also really important. And let's see here. So as you can see, the panda and the lizard go together, and that's really nice since we have that 30% chance of restoring HP. And then we have the deer and turtle in here where we gain 12% damage resistance. And then for our final one, Hydrospite is one of the most important powers to a long sustaining fight since we can use our skills more often than usual. So the other options here is to try and get this activated, we either use the cat or the fox. And basically I chose the cat as it actually helps and benefits since we don't stun, so the fox would be pretty much useless. So that's my reasoning behind having these powers, because of these 3 skills that I can get. And the only things that you have to be careful of is just making sure the first 2 slots are a specific one. Let's say you had Hydrospite plus Deer as your first 2 slots, you will only get one effect. You will only get this global HP plus 15% because they don't stack. So that's one thing to pay attention to. Now let's talk about relics. For this first one, all the masks, you don't really have much choice here. Power crit rate isn't that amazing for this build, but I would say it's still probably better than the others, because the others are quite useless for us. So we just go with power crit rate. For our fossil, we choose Dragonweave Circlet, basically because we have a turtle and we have a lizard, and so we can make the most out of this fossil and try and deal extra percentage max HP damage. For our treasure, I'm using the magic box because we can increase the damage from 2 of our powers, the cat and also the angel deer. So that's very good. What are some other options? Panda powers gain extra crit rate and crit damage. That doesn't really help us. Snow Sprite, that doesn't really help us. Cactus, we're not actually using. And we're not using the dog, fox, or octopus. So that really kind of leaves us only with one choice here. For your relic book, this is nice always because we are building a sustain build, so having extra damage resistance will always help us. You could try to go for a flame book as well, but in my opinion, attack is not as important as defense for this tank build. For our statue, we definitely want time statue, since if we are against archers, we still use disarm, and when we are fighting warriors, we still use smoke bomb. So these are really important. I have experimented actually with using a cage statue instead, since we do use easy breezy or take it slow, but I have had less success with that, and time statue has still proven to be the better relic here. And then finally, for our necklace, this is the most important one, the Crimson Sickle necklace. This is kind of the crux of our entire build, so having this necklace will help us restore a lot more HP than usual. And that's our relic build finished. Let's talk about prayers next. Now, as you can see, I have a full power damage page as well. However, I have noticed that it didn't really do that much, and when I swap to this page where I have 3 attack and 3 HP and 2 attack, that actually proved to be a better prayer statue page for me. And the ideal prayer statue, in my opinion, would most likely just be 5 HP, and I would replace the 2 global attacks. But I don't have enough resources right now, and there's not prayer rush, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it as it is. It's working okay for now, and it'll do the job for my testing. But just letting you know, ideal is probably 5 HP. Now the big one is our talent trees. So what do we focus on? Now we have 4 talent tree pages. Things have changed a lot. I will be doing some guides on talent trees for the other classes in the future when I do have some time. So stay tuned for that. But for now, let's cover the talent pages for this Necro build. So most important thing would be to try and reach this end node here, because we get an extra 30% combo rate, and that's really important since that's one of the huge boosts to our combo rate through this talent tree. After that, basically what you want to do is you want to get every kind of healing orb possible, and also to max our power attack speed is really important, and to max our HP and defense bubbles everywhere. So as you can see here, this one, power healing, restores a percentage of our HP with every 8 basic power basic attacks. So that's a nice one to have. Then we come across here and we have a healing bubble, so I level that to 10. And that's basically it for this page. Then we go to sorcery, the second most important page. Why? Because of this energy regen bubble. So we want our skills to come up as often as possible, so try to get this maxed as well, 20 out of 20. After that, crit res is also pretty important, so try and get it to level 10 out of 20. Here is also important since we get some restoring our max HP with every skill used, so that's quite helpful as well. And then here again, I've just maxed my HP and defense, and that's it for sorcery page. Then we have archery page, and not much going on here, just maxing our HP defense again. And then we have another healing bubble where we can increase our healing amount percentage and our healing rate percentage. So I leveled that as well. And then finally we have our fury page, and I leveled this healing bubble here, crit res here, and then also another healing bubble here. And that's basically it. You just want to try and level every single healing bubble that you see, every crit res bubble that you see. You want to max your skill energy regen and your power attack speed, and that's basically it. You want to max your HP and defense as well. I've already said that. And obviously try and go for this power combo rate first. And that is, I think, the best that I can come up with right now. I haven't actually looked much at other people's guides or testings. This is just through my own findings. So maybe some other people have kind of reached the same conclusion as me, or maybe they reached a different conclusion, I don't know. But yeah, this is what I've come up with. And let's see what's next. Artifact enchantments. Okay, again, this is also very hard to try and build since we just don't have that much resources. But the main things to focus on, well, since we are a power damage class, I went for power damage here. Then we have here combo damage resistance. Technically, this can be counter damage as well if you're up against warriors, or you could just go global basic attack damage resistance. I'm just using this because I have that extra 4% power damage on my substat here. And then on our rune 6, we want to use crit resistance bonus, because if we are versing warriors and archers, they will always crit, and we want to try and reduce that crit damage as much as we can. So that's really important. And then for our other 3, really basic, just HP, attack, defense, we want to just aim for resistances and power damage if possible. But yeah, I just basically keep this the same since I just don't have that many resources to try and max out so many different sets for different classes. To me, this is like the biggest bottleneck for constantly swapping between classes. Like, you just don't have enough resources to level so many artifact enchantments. But yeah, this is what I'm running. Obviously, set bonuses is terrible. It doesn't even exist. But I mean, ideally, what you would, if you could have something, maybe global power damage would be nice, and then like a 4-piece global crit resistance. That could be very nice to have for our new class. And then what do we have next? Mounts, artifact, and back accessories. Done a lot of testing here. I'll start with the easiest. I use the energy regen fan. Basically, as long as the shield lasts, you get a 50% energy regen. So that's amazing. That really supports my tank build. I would just suggest to try and use anything that you have that is very defensive, or if possible, to use something that will improve your energy regen. So I think the only 2 is this fan and then also this dark parasol. Yes, because it increases your energy regen by 15%. So if you don't have this fan, use the dark. If you don't have the dark, just use something defensive like this divine intervention, or even this lustrous plumage, because you get extra defense basically. Then for our mounts, there are a couple options you can use, but I found that the best that's working for me is actually this dark mount. Why? Basically, it's just because we can reduce the attack by 10% for the entire battle. And then since it lasts a long time, we can stack it slightly. So every time we cast this skill again, we reduce it by 3% more for an extra 2 times. So that means we can reduce their overall attack by 16% for basically the entire fight. Plus, every time Easy Breezy comes up, we reduce their attack by a further 20%. So 36% attack damage reduction every now and then is really nice to have. Alternate mounts that you could use, I would suggest just purely defensive mounts. So this sailing mount, Rainbow of Peace, every time you lose HP, you just get extra damage resistance. That's really nice. You could use the blue ox, because of that extra damage resistance again. You could use the white tiger as well, because if your HP is lower than theirs, it automatically reduces their attack by 10%. What else could you use? You could use the adaptive slime as well, since you can reduce damage taken, you gain a shield, and it increases your attack. So it's still pretty good as well. I think the dragon could also be really good, since it's basically increasing your defense. However, I don't have it, so I can't use it. So for me, this duck mount is the best that I have. For artifacts, I am using Eye of Raven just because I want that extra chance to try and get off another Wild Gust or Blade Pierce. Out of my artifacts that I've tried, Spring Cord could also work, but it doesn't work that well. This is completely useless. This has some use if you're trying to go for a damage build, but we are trying to survive longer, and it's a tank build, so it doesn't really help us at all. And then for this artifact, our damage is reliant on our pals and not on our own character, so having a clone of our character really doesn't do a lot, apart from just being a meat shield. And it dies quite quickly as well, since it's only 16% of our max HP, so I wouldn't suggest using this. What other artifacts could you use? I would probably think that this would be the best, since you have a chance to deal target max HP damage. You can also wound the target and reduce their regen and healing amount. And in a battle of sustain, a person having this artifact will always come out on top basically. So if you have this, this is probably best in slot. Otherwise, just Eye of Raven could be good as well. Otherwise, Spring Cord, just something defensive basically. For my Avian, I'm basically using the Dense Cloud because I get extra energy regen. Obviously, my Avian passives aren't amazing. Crit res works. This actually kind of works, but not really. It's not really helpful, and I don't need the skill crit damage. Ideally, what you want as for your Avian, you want these two new ones, the Yogurt Champ and Yogurt Cocoa, but I just cannot for the life of me unlock them. I've been breeding so many pals and I have still yet to find them, so I can only use the best thing that I have at the time. So I definitely just use this cloud. Another possibility could be using Anubis, since we can reduce their attack by another 15%. So just keep that in mind. These are some options that you can use. And then let's talk about our souls. The most important one being we want to raise our HP as much as we can. So I have this at level 53. This also increases our HP regen bonus, which is very helpful. Next, I have crit res leveled quite high at level 45. And then I also have defense leveled very high at level 41. We just want to survive as long as we can. Then I have this counter damage one leveled at 30 because of the extra power damage that we get. And then I also have our attack leveled at 30. And then I have the other three souls at level 1 because they don't really help us at all. And then for our class awakening, I would definitely suggest again to focus on HP the most, and then I just kind of leveled everything else quite evenly up to level 21. Power damage is important, attack is pretty important as well, defense and crit res, they're all important to me. The only thing that is not important is crit damage bonus, because we don't really crit ourselves as a character. Only our pals crit, and this doesn't increase the power damage crit, so it's basically useless for us. PvE wise, it's not great, I have to admit. You can see just from here, the screen is really hard for us to try and kill mobs. Basically, if I wanted to push worlds, I would still swap back to an archer, and they are still the best PvE king. For Big Grumpy, okay, I already died. For Big Grumpy, your damage is very low. Let's see. Okay, normally I always rank number 1, and now I rank 27. So the thing with Big Grumpy is basically we don't bring in our powers, and that's the reason why our damage becomes so low, but it is what it is. So let's just focus on what we can do. So let's try out some PvP. I'll use a speed up just so that we can make this go a bit faster. I'll show you how it works. Basically, let's try and fight an archer first. We'll fight a warrior. So if we're fighting an archer, we want to use disarm, and then we want to use take it slow. So basically we just want to survive as long as we can and heal up all the damage that we take, try and reduce the damage that they do as well. And let's fight now the warrior. So with warrior we use easy breezy with smoke bomb. And these fights against warrior is always quite long, especially if they have a lot of sustain. It'll just come to a sustained fight, a sustained battle. So using that speed up is actually quite helpful for these arena fights. But as you can see, I am sustaining basically all the damage. We can look at their stats here. So I do have a lot more HP than them, basically double. They have more defense than me, and I have more attack. But that HP is one of the biggest keys towards trying to survive as long as we can. We can fight also Bruno. He's basically the strongest person in our server, and he is also warrior right now, so we can see how we go. I think I will probably lose to him, but it'll be very close. But you can see what the fight looks like basically. So he's actually using the Blade Pierce Wild Gust combo as well. And initially we do more damage to him, but because he's using the Sailing Mount, he gets more and more damage resistance, so he can start to tank more damage. And yeah, basically he can kill me like that. So even as a tank, I still lose to him as a warrior. So I wouldn't say that this is the best class. Obviously I don't have all my stuff perfected, so it is a little bit unfair. Once it is perfected, I assume that it could be potentially better for being the tanky class, but for now where I'm at, I think I would still just have more success changing to warrior and running a similar build. But we can see and try and find someone in the cross server arena, which I have been very inactive on, which is why I keep falling back to Grandmaster. Let's just try and find a warrior and we can fight them. So the fight runs quite similarly, but he just cannot sustain the damage that I have. Meanwhile, I can't sustain his damage, and basically, yeah, I can win like that. in my current tier there are a lot of archers, and I'm pretty sure I lose to most, if not all of them. For some reason, this class, although I am trying to tank as much as I can, I just can't seem to tank their DPS. So that is definitely something to be mindful of if you are swapping, that if you are versing an archer, the chances of you winning is not as high as the chances of swapping to a warrior and fighting an archer. So let's see how we go against this person. As you can see, I'm taking a lot more damage, but actually I am doing quite well here, and there we go. So we did win that. If we do fight against someone who has more crit damage and combo like this guy, 6,450 crit damage and 30k combo, he has 100% combo rate and 72% crit rate. Let's try and fight him. Let's see how it goes. I'm pretty sure I will lose this just because he has so much extra damage. Yeah, my health is melting a lot faster, but I think I might be able to sustain. Yep, okay, I actually out-sustained him. Why is that? Let's see. I mean, I think the biggest thing that's most obvious is my HP is double his, and my defense is also double his. So I think it's definitely important to have a lot of HP and defense focus. And let me just tell you now about a slightly alternative build, and that's basically using this guy, this puppy fervor. So I would replace the cat. Unfortunately, we do lose an effect by replacing him. We now only have 2, but this one does get upgraded. So instead of which decays by a third every 10 seconds, it's decays by a fourth. So it's okay. But why do we want to use puppy fervor? It increases all shield effects by 24%. We have a lot of shields from our lizard, and also we have this fan that comes up like so often. This actually can be quite good for us, and I have experimented, and this could actually work pretty well as well, where you replace Stream Shield with Blitz Assault, since it has a shorter cooldown and it actually applies and gets boosted by the puppy fervor. So this can also be a slightly alternative build where we swap the cat for the puppy and Blitz immunity, Blitz Assault for Stream Shield. Let's see if we can beat someone with this new setup. Okay, his warrior. Let's say if we can just stick to an archer. Okay, let's see. 93% crit, 100% combo. It's looking very nice for him. Alright, this might be a bit risky, but we'll see how we go. Especially for this puppy build, where it boosts a lot of our shields. Yeah, I think it's slightly better when we verse warriors. Yep, okay, so we lost that. So let's see if we can beat a warrior with the same build. So fighting a warrior, we want the green cactus and we want smoke bomb. Now let's find a warrior. So this is a warrior. 32k counter multi, that's pretty good. Let's see how we go. Basically what we want our fan, our blue shield, to last as long as we can, so we get extra energy regen, and by using puppy fervor we can boost that energy regen for the maximum amount of time that we can have it for. So by using Puppy Fervor, we can basically have a higher chance of getting more skill rotations in. So this is my alternate build that I have come up with, and it works pretty well, but I would say not 100% either. Now let's see if we can find a mage. I don't think there are many mages in my current tier, but we'll see if we can find one. It's mostly archers in this tier, as you can see. We have a mage here, 70,000 power, that's nice. So let's, oh, daily challenge 5 reached. Okay, let's try this out now. So I haven't actually tried using Shroom Shield against a mage like this, so I was curious to see how it would do, but I do think Blitz Assault against a mage would be much better, since their skills do a lot of damage and it definitely burns through our Shroom Shield. So having Blitz Assault against a mage would definitely be the better option. But I think that's about it. I think I've covered everything for this build. These are basically my first impressions on the class as a whole. I don't really like Beast Tamer just because of how hard it is to build, and for the Necromaster, basically you have to build him as a tank, and even then the tank isn't the greatest. I think you can get more value from being a warrior rather than the Necromaster. So overall impressions, it's okay. It's not amazing. I would probably put this class in like a B tier. PvE is like a D tier, E tier, basically as low as you can go. I think it's non-existent. You would never use the Spirit Channeler to progress in any PvE levels. PvP wise, I can see some use. You basically counter the warrior in a way if you can build it correctly, but you kind of lose to mages and you lose a lot to archers. So I'm not sure if that's amazing. So if you only counter one class and then you lose to the other two, yeah, it's just something to think about. So overall, that is my opinion, but if you did still want to try and make this work, or if you have done a lot of testing yourself and you found a better build than myself, then please let me know. I'd be really interested to hear what other people have come up with. So yeah, that's about it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'll release some newer videos about the talent trees for other classes maybe in the upcoming weeks. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed watching, and catch you in the next video. Peace.